So the Shane Cashman piece on Eliza Bleu dropped, and let's just say that was a bigger letdown than the release of Cyberpunk 2077. Hey, this is Greg Hoyt from The Breakdown. If you're new here and checking out the channel on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitter at GregHoytLET. Anyway, let's get on to the video. So after waiting in anticipation for this coveted Shane Cashman piece on Eliza Bleu, we finally had it delivered on February 6th. And let's just say, it wasn't great. In fact, it was kind of piss poor. I would even go so far as to describe the entire piece as really drivel. Now, for those of you that haven't taken the time to actually read this piece by Shane Cashman, I would suggest if you want to, you can read it, but, fair warning, from start to finish, it feels like it's longer than the entire Roots miniseries. Seriously, I feel like I need my 20 to 30 minutes back. I feel like that article gave me mesothelioma, and I'm now entitled to compensation. Alright, jokes aside, seriously, the Shane Cashman piece is pretty much what everybody was expecting it to be. Now, purportedly, it's part one in a multi-part series, and so maybe we'll get something good later on down the line, maybe part two, part three, whatever. I guess they're going to be drip-feeding us this like the Twitter files. But this part one shenanigans of this, it really, I personally digested it as just nothing but hot garbage filled with the same vague details that Eliza Bleu has spread across a myriad of podcast appearances and other interviews that she's done that has not necessarily been, podcast themed, where it was just like written interviews. That's what I took away from it. She kept going on the same vague stuff. She won't name names. The dates are a little bit sketchy. And again, also, there are aspects that conflict with it, because in this Shane Cashman piece, she talks about, having met this mysterious photographer at some concert at 15. But also, at the same time, when she was on that Tough Love podcast, she claimed to have met this photographer when she was 17 while attending the Vans Warped Tour over in Chicago. So again, you kind of have those same inconsistencies. She just can't get her story straight. But let's talk about the fluff in this piece. And gosh, there was so much fluff. I mean, Shane Cashman, he clearly does live in the realm, like in the school of Tim Pool fence sitting, because he tries to present himself as objective in this piece, noting that, Eliza could be lying, and I've got questions too. And that's not even addressing the fact that the thing is just written, it's so uninteresting. It is the most uninteresting read. This should have been something that everybody would be excited to read because they'd potentially get a little bit more insight into the Eliza controversy. Number one, we didn't get that. We didn't get more insight. All we have is just very surface level stuff that people have been talking about already for several weeks. But also on top of that, it was just written it was so poorly, so uninteresting to read. And it also plays into the fact that when Eliza Bleu on January 6th, this past January 6th, when she was on Timcast, she was blowing smoke up Shane Cashman's ass, saying that his work is Warhol-esque.
I love you so much, Shane.
Oh, thanks, Olivia.
I'm like your
Appreciate
biggest
that.
fan.
Thank you for supporting me so much online.
I love you so much. I think you have a creative mind. And I told Shane one time, I said, I firmly believe that I had this feeling in my gut. I said, I need to ask Shane to take my picture and write an article because I have a feeling his work will end up being Warhol-esque.
I mean, I get it. Art and literature and what have you, it's subjective, so every reader is going to take something away from it. And, I'm not boosting my profile because, I've been a journalist and I've written thousands and thousands of articles, and I've never had anybody call me Warhol-esque. And I've never described myself as being like this amazing journalist that just writes these beautiful pieces or anything like that. I do report the facts, like when I've done pieces. I try to keep it factual, and if something's opinion editorial, I make sure that's pretty much apparent from the gate. But Eliza Bleu, when she was telling Shane Cashman that his work was Warhol-esque, and I'd never seen any of his work before, and so I'm checking out this piece expecting a really solid piece of journalism, and what I got, it felt like a Dear Diary. It felt like a journal entry written by a 15-year-old. And as mentioned earlier, it just goes on and on and on and on. It's just so boring. and it scratches the surface of things we already know about. And it also gives her an opportunity, gives Eliza a platform to rehash the same talking points and the same vague points that she's made in the past, which, again, is easily debunked or contradicts past things she said. Such as when she claimed, when asked by Shane in the article about the whereabouts of a trafficker, or whether she knows the status of a particular trafficker. In this case, it appears to be referencing the photographer that she met anywhere between the ages of 15 to 17, depending on what version of the story she tells. But when she's asked about the status or whereabouts of this individual, she claims that, this guy or individual, I'm assuming it's a guy, this person could be dead, but she hasn't really checked in on him. And again, that completely contradicts crap that she's put out on the internet in the past. Because in December of 2020, she took to Twitter, which as of now, the tweet is still live. I don't know if it'll be live, after that stuff blows up. But she said in December of 2020 that her trafficker still follows her on social media and sends her messages. And she proclaimed at the time that this mysterious trafficker that, again, she won't name, can kiss her whole ass. I'm telling you, this puff piece from Shane Cashman, it's not great. You're not going to learn a whole hell of a lot of information regarding the Eliza Bleu controversy. What you're going to get is Shane making minute mentions of his degree of skepticism, which I don't even know if that skepticism is legitimate or not. I mean, it's really hard to tell because, he just says like, maybe she's lying or maybe she's telling the truth. I hope it's all a lie. Like he does this thing on a number of times in the article where he's like, I hope she's telling a lie because then that means this didn't happen to her. Like that is such just complete garbage nonsense. And the article doesn't even address the fact that she weaponized criticism to have her critics silenced and deplatformed. But again, we've got some white knight saying like, oh, well, this is just part one. This is part one of the article. We should really wait for the other parts to come out. I'm sorry. I'll check out the other parts. I'll share my take on the other parts of the article as they come out, if they come out. But if this is what we have to expect, I'm sorry. This is hot garbage. I'm pretty sure Shane Cashman's a nice guy. I'm pretty sure he's a friendly guy. I'm pretty sure he'd be a cool guy to have a beer with. But if this is his iteration of journalistic integrity, and if this is his writing style, I'm sorry, I don't really see him winning any Pulitzer Prize awards or anything like that anytime soon. Anyways, guys, I know this is a little bit of a shorter video because I didn't want to take away as much time as that article will take away from you if you so dare attempt to read it. Also, I wanted to mention that for such a new YouTube channel, I want to thank the people that have started following me. I greatly appreciate the subscribers. This is a new endeavor for me. And so I just greatly appreciate the support and I appreciate the interactions, the comments. So please keep it coming. And if you would be so kind, like, share the video, subscribe if you find my content interesting, and feel free to follow me on Twitter @GregHoytLET. That was The Breakdown. Peace.